The mission started like any other, at least that's what the SEAL team believed. They were trained for danger, trained for chaos, trained for situations that normal people could never survive. But even the best soldiers cannot predict when everything will fall apart. The team of 8 men was sent deep into a dangerous jungle far from home. Their job was simple on paper. Enter the enemy zone, collect important intel, and leave before anyone knew they were there. It was a mission that should have taken 2 hours. But the jungle had other plans. The team moved silently through the thick trees, their boots sinking into wet mud, leaves brushing against their faces. The air was hot and heavy, full of insects and the smell of earth. Every sound seemed louder in the silence. Broken twigs, distant animal calls, the steady breathing inside their helmets. They were used to harsh places, but this jungle felt alive, like it was watching them. First, everything went smoothly. They reached the enemy camp, took photos, copied documents, and gathered the proof they needed. This intelligence could save hundreds of lives. They were almost ready to leave when one of the soldiers noticed something wrong. The birds had gone quiet. In a jungle, silence isn't peace. Silence is danger. Before they could react, the radio crackled and died. No voice, no signal, no backup. They tried again and again, but the only answer was static. Something was blocking the connection. Either the enemy had jammed the signal or the communication tower was destroyed. Both options meant trouble. Still, the team stayed calm. They had been in tight situations before. The plan was to move to the extraction point where a helicopter would pick them up. But as they started walking, they felt the ground shaking slightly. Footsteps, many of them. The enemy wasn't just near. They were surrounding them. The commander raised his hand, and everyone froze. They hid behind trees, behind rocks, wherever they could blend in. The enemy had found their tracks. Instead of one patrol, they saw dozens of armed men closing in from different sides. Something had gone wrong. Someone had betrayed their mission, and now they were trapped in unfriendly land, with no way to call for help. The youngest SEAL, barely 21 years old, tried to stay strong, but his hands shook slightly as he held his rifle. The oldest member, a man with 14 years of service, placed a hand on his shoulder. "Focus. Don't think. Just breathe," he whispered. SEALs never show fear, but every man there knew this was not a normal fight. This was survival. The commander checked his watch. The helicopter was supposed to arrive in 30 minutes. But without radio contact, how would the pilot know where they were? Worse, what if the pilot had already been told the mission failed and never took off? What if no one was coming? The team could not run. The jungle was too thick, and the enemy knew the land better. They couldn't charge either. They were outnumbered at least 20 to 1. All they could do was prepare to fight and pray that someone, somewhere, still knew they were alive. One of the soldiers suggested sending up a flare, but the commander refused. A flare would not bring help. It would bring more enemies. They had only one option left: hold their ground and hope the situation changed. The commander finally spoke, his voice calm but heavy. "We stay together. We fight together. No one gets left behind." As night began to fall, the sounds in the jungle grew louder. The enemy moving, loading weapons, whispering in a language the SEALs did not understand. The team found a small high point, a place where they could defend themselves. They set up silent traps, checked their ammo, and shared the last of their water. In every soldier's eyes, there was the same thought: this might be the last night of our lives. The team leader quietly looked at the sky and remembered something an old trainer once said: "A SEAL does not fear death. He fears failing the mission and the men beside him." That sentence felt real now. Their mission was no longer about documents or intelligence. It was about staying alive long enough for even a small chance of rescue. They were deep inside enemy territory, cut off, low on ammo, and out of time. There was no sign of support, no radio reply, no sound of helicopters in the distance. The jungle swallowed their voices, their fear, and their hope. They had been trained to fight thousands of miles from home, but no one trained them for being forgotten. And yet, even in the middle of fear, they did not break. They sat in silence, their rifles ready, listening to the enemy footsteps getting closer. The commander whispered one last order. If this is where we die as brothers. What they didn't know was that someone else was already watching them from the shadows. Someone who wasn't part of the mission. Someone they didn't even know existed. Someone who would change everything. Night fell like a curtain over the jungle, and with it came the kind of silence that makes even the bravest soldier feel small. The SEAL team could barely see anything beyond a few meters. The trees looked like tall shadows, and every rustle of leaves sounded like footsteps. The enemy was out there, somewhere in the darkness, waiting for the right moment to strike. The team stayed low, their backs against trees and rocks, rifles pointed into the night. They spoke only with hand signs and eye contact. No words were needed. Everyone already knew what they were thinking. We are surrounded. We are outnumbered. And no one knows we're still alive. Then it began. A gunshot broke the silence, followed by another. Bullets hit the trees above them, with splintering into the air. The SEALs returned fire instantly, not wasting a single bullet. They were trained shooters. Every shot had purpose. But no matter how many enemies they hit, more kept coming. It was like fighting a sea of shadows. The enemy wasn't rushing in. They were smart. They were testing, pushing, trying to make the SEALs waste ammo. The commander knew this tactic well. The enemy didn't have to win fast. They just had to wait until the SEAL team ran out of bullets, strength, or blood. One of the SEALs took a hit in the arm. It wasn't fatal, but the pain was sharp. Another one was grazed on the leg. They patched each other up while still firing. This was not a clean Hollywood battle. This was real, dirty, sweaty, terrifying. The youngest member of the team whispered, "Are we going to make it?" The old SEAL next to him didn't answer with words. He just loaded another magazine and nodded. Sometimes hope is silent. The enemy started moving closer. The attacks became heavier, faster. Grenades exploded near the trees, shaking the ground. Smoke mixed with the wet air, making it hard to breathe. The team shifted positions again and again, trying to stay alive. They couldn't see their enemies, but they could hear their voices. Talking, laughing, confident. They thought the SEALs were already finished. At one point, the commander tried the radio again. Still nothing, no signal, no rescue, no word from command. They had been cut out completely. It was now clear. No help was coming. The realization hit the men, but it didn't break them. If anything, it made them sharper, stronger. They had fought in deserts, oceans, cities, and mountains. But this jungle battle felt different. Not because of the enemy, but because of the loneliness. The world didn't even know they were dying. Minutes felt like hours. Every bullet felt heavier than the last. The moonlight barely touched the ground under the thick trees. The darkness was their enemy now just as much as the men shooting at them. At one point, the enemy tried a full push from the left side. The SEALs responded with everything they had. Burst fire, grenades, cover moves. Bodies fell, but the enemy didn't stop. More kept arriving. It was like a wave hitting a stone. The stone was strong, but the sea was endless. The commander finally looked at his men and said quietly, "If any of you have a last prayer, say it now." But nobody closed their eyes. Instead, they fought harder. Suddenly, the shooting stopped. The jungle went silent again. No movement, no bullets, no voices, just darkness. The men didn't relax, not for a second. Silence in war is just the pause before the next strike. The youngest SEAL thought for a moment that maybe the enemy was gone. But the commander shook his head. "They're waiting. They want us tired before sunrise." He was right. The SEALs checked their ammo. They had less than half left. Water was low. Food was gone. Their bodies were running on adrenaline now, not strength. Still, no one talked about giving up. They talked only about positions, angles, strategy. They were soldiers. Even cornered, even forgotten, they refused to die easy. Suddenly, a noise came from deep inside the jungle. Not footsteps, not whispers, something else. A single gunshot, sharp, clean, perfect. Not from the SEAL team. A second shot came. Then a third. The enemy started yelling. One of the SEALs whispered, Who the hell is shooting? The commander raised his eyes. He didn't know. None of them did. But the sound of the shots, they weren't random. Whoever it was, he wasn't firing wildly. Every bullet hit someone. Someone who wasn't a SEAL. The enemy started shouting orders in panic. Their formation broke. The jungle, which had felt like a cage, suddenly became a battlefield in someone else's favor. The SEAL team didn't know it yet, but that was the first sign of the ghost. The one they had never met. The one no one called for. The one who wasn't supposed to be there, but came anyway. And everything was about to change. The night felt longer than any night the SEAL team had ever lived through. The enemy had backed away for the moment, but no one celebrated. Soldiers don't mistake silence for safety. They all knew the truth. This was only a break, not the end. The jungle was still full of danger. The enemy was still out there, and the team was still trapped. But now, something else had entered the battlefield. Someone they didn't know, someone they couldn't see, someone whose bullets were not aimed at them. That alone was confusing, almost unbelievable. In war, strangers don't save you. But someone just had. The commander tried one more time to reach headquarters through the radio. Still dead. No signal. No reply. No rescue. They were cut off from the world. Their supplies were almost gone. Ammo was running low. Water bottles were nearly empty. The air was hot and sticky, clinging to their skin like a second layer. The jungle felt like a slow, invisible enemy, draining energy from them with every breath. One of the SEALs finally spoke in a low voice. "Are we really being left to die out here?" No one answered, but everyone knew what he meant. It wasn't just the enemy that felt like a threat. It was the feeling of being forgotten. They had trained their entire lives for moments like this, but they never expected to be abandoned. The mission had gone wrong, communication was gone, and headquarters didn't even know if they were alive or dead. The youngest member stared at the sky. The stars were barely visible through the thick trees. He wondered what his mother was doing, if she was sleeping peacefully, not knowing her son was in a war zone with death only minutes away. He felt fear, real fear, but also something else, guilt. He didn't want his family to remember him as a name on a folded flag. The commander saw that look on his face and spoke quietly. "Don't think about dying. Think about fighting. As long as we're breathing, we're not done yet." Those words gave the team a spark of energy. Not hope, not comfort, but focus. They checked their wounds again, helped each other tighten bandages, shared the last bits of food. Half a protein bar, a sip of water, a piece of gum someone still had. In war, even a piece of gum can feel like a gift. But deep inside, every man knew the same thing. If the enemy attacked again with full force, they wouldn't survive. They didn't have enough bullets. They didn't have enough strength. They were running out of everything except courage. Then, just before dawn, the enemy started moving again. They could hear branches snapping, boots stepping, quiet orders being whispered in a foreign language. They were closing in, surrounding the SEALs again. The team took their positions, ready to fight to the last bullet if they had to. The commander spoke in a steady voice. "No panic, no hesitation. Pick your targets. Make every shot count." A few seconds later, the first enemy soldier came into view. The SEAL aimed, but before he could pull the trigger, crack, a single bullet rang through the trees. The enemy soldier dropped, not by the SEAL's gun, but from the same unknown sniper they heard earlier. Then it happened again. Crack, crack, crack. 3 more enemies fell. The SEALs didn't even know where the shots were coming from. The angle was too far, too sharp, too perfect. Whoever was shooting wasn't just a good sniper. He was a master. Every shot was clean. No wasted bullets. No panic. No movement seen. Just precise death. The enemy began panicking again. They tried to locate the sniper, but they couldn't. It was like the jungle itself was swallowing him. A ghost with a rifle. One SEAL whispered, "Who is this guy?" The commander replied, "Doesn't matter. For now, he's on our side." But questions burned in every mind. Who was helping them? Why was he here? How did he even know they were in danger? Is he military? Rogue? Local? A myth? A miracle? No one knew. But one thing was clear. He wasn't just taking shots randomly. He was protecting them. He knew exactly who to shoot, exactly where to aim, exactly when to fire. The SEALs started to move again, more carefully, trusting the invisible sniper's cover. The enemy, realizing they were being picked off, started retreating deeper into the jungle. Not because they feared the SEAL team, but because they feared the unseen shooter. The SEALs finally had a small window of time to breathe. But their eyes were not calm. They had fought enemies before, but they had never been saved by a ghost. The jungle was still dark. The air still smelled of gunpowder and blood. But something had changed. They were not alone anymore. Someone was watching them. Someone deadly. Someone silent. Someone who had no name, but would soon become a legend. The jungle was slowly waking up with the first light of morning. But the SEAL team didn't feel any safer. The short break they got during the night wasn't victory, just survival. They were still trapped, still low on ammo, still cut off from the world. The only difference now was this. Someone out there was helping them. Someone they hadn't seen. Someone who didn't speak. Someone who killed with one bullet at a time, like a ghost hiding in the trees. The commander kept scanning the jungle, trying to spot even a shadow of the unknown sniper. But there was nothing. No footprints. No movement. Not even a glimmer from a rifle scope. A normal sniper leaves signs. Broken branches, empty shells, disturbed soil. But this one left nothing. It was almost like he blended into the jungle itself. The youngest SEAL finally whispered what everyone was thinking. Why is he helping us? No one answered because no one knew. A stranger saving an entire SEAL team in the middle of enemy territory was not normal. Not logical. Not military protocol. But in war, logic dies first. The team tried once again to fix their radio. Still nothing. They were officially cut off. They couldn't reach command. Couldn't call for evacuation. Couldn't even warn anyone about the enemy forces surrounding them. Their mission didn't just fail. It turned into something far more dangerous. A survival mission. The sun started rising fully, and the jungle slowly filled with sound again. Birds, insects, wind moving through the leaves. But there was one sound the team was waiting for: boots, guns, enemy movement. The attack could come at any second. The sniper's shots had scared the enemy for a while, but not forever. The enemy had numbers, confidence, and home ground advantage. They would come back. The SEAL team knew that. So before they got trapped again, the commander made a bold decision. They would move. But moving in the jungle was risky. One wrong step could expose their position. One loud sound could alert the enemy. And yet, staying meant dying slowly. So the commander planned a route, north side, through a narrow slope, using the trees for cover. They started moving carefully, but every few steps there was the same thought in their heads. Is the sniper watching us? Is he still here? Or was that the last time he helped us? Minutes passed like hours. Sweat ran down their backs. Their uniforms were soaked. Their boots felt heavier with each step. Still no gunfire. No enemy. No sign of the mysterious shooter. Then suddenly, crack, a single bullet shot through the air. But this time it wasn't meant to kill. It hit a tree just inches from the commander's head. The SEALs dropped instantly, weapons ready. But there was no second shot. No enemy charge. Nothing. The commander stared at the bullet hole in the tree. It was not a threat. It was a message. The sniper wasn't shooting at them. He was warning them. They had been walking into danger. The commander understood. He changed direction. They moved right instead of left. 10 seconds later, they heard footsteps. Lots of them. The enemy had been waiting ahead, hiding among the trees. If the team had walked one more minute, they would have walked straight into an ambush. The ghost sniper had just saved their lives again. Now the team knew for certain it wasn't luck. It wasn't random. The sniper could see them. He knew exactly where they were, what path they were taking, and where the enemy was hiding. He was not just a shooter, he was watching over them like a silent guardian. One of the SEALs finally said what everyone was thinking. He's not helping us by chance. He's protecting us on purpose. But why? Who does that? Why risk his life for a team that doesn't even know him? Hours passed. They kept moving and stopping, following instinct and hoping the sniper was still out there, still watching. At one point, the team took cover behind a fallen tree to rest. They were exhausted, hungry, dehydrated, physically and mentally drained. One soldier had bandages soaked with blood. Another's hands shook from pain. They needed extraction. They needed medical help. They needed a miracle. But in war, miracles often come in the shape of a bullet. The commander finally whispered, "If that sniper can see us, maybe he can hear us." He took a risk. He spoke out loud, voice low but firm, facing the jungle. "We don't know who you are, but if you can hear me, we need help. We need a way out." The jungle stayed silent. 10 seconds, 30 seconds, 1 full minute, then crack. One single shot. It hit a tree. Not close, not aimed, but pointed north. A direction, a signal. The sniper was answering. The SEALs looked at each other. They didn't know his name. They didn't know his face. But they trusted him. Because in war, trust isn't given to those you know. Trust is given to those who save your life. And whoever this ghost sniper was, he wasn't done yet. The SEAL team followed the direction the sniper had given them, moving slowly but with a new kind of alertness. They were still inside enemy territory, still wounded, still exhausted, but something had changed. Before, they were fighting just to survive. Now, they were being guided. Someone was helping them stay alive. Someone who didn't speak, didn't show himself, didn't ask for anything. Only gave protection in the form of bullets and warnings. But the enemy wasn't finished. They knew the SEALs were still somewhere in the jungle, and they wanted them dead before the Americans could escape. The enemy soldiers were angry, embarrassed that one hidden sniper was destroying their numbers and plans. So they sent more men, more guns, more traps. The SEAL team kept moving, step by step, following the unseen path. Every now and then, they stopped to listen. Sometimes they heard enemy voices, sometimes the sound of machetes cutting through branches, sometimes the clang of metal, guns being loaded. Each time, the sniper fired before the enemy got too close. One shot, one body falls, silence returns. Nobody in the SEAL team had seen even a shadow of this man, but the accuracy of his shots said everything. He wasn't an amateur, wasn't a local hunter, wasn't a lucky rebel. He was trained, extremely trained. One soldier finally said, "Only a SEAL can shoot like that." The commander gave a small nod. Not just a SEAL, a top sniper. The team moved into a rocky area climbing uphill. They were running out of strength. One man nearly collapsed but was pulled up by another. Every movement burned. Every breath felt heavy. But still, they moved. They didn't have a choice. Then, for the first time, the sniper made real contact, not with words but with action. A bullet dropped from the trees on purpose, landing right near the commander's boot. It wasn't shot. It was placed. A message. The commander picked it up. Carved on the casing was a single symbol, a trident, the SEAL insignia. That was the moment everything became clear. He wasn't just a sniper. He wasn't a stranger. He was, or had once been, one of them. But why was he here? Why alone? Why not part of a unit? Why did no one know about him? They didn't have time to think about it. Because suddenly, boom, an explosion went off behind them. The enemy had thrown a grenade from a ridge. The blast hit two of the SEALs hard. One was injured in the shoulder, the other in the leg. The enemy had found them again, and this time they weren't holding back. Gunfire erupted from both sides. The SEALs took cover behind rocks, returning fire, but their ammo was dangerously low now. The enemy was pushing hard. The commander yelled, "Last mags! Make every shot count." But before the SEALs could be overwhelmed, crack, 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 3 perfect shots. 3 enemy soldiers dropped, each one taken out before they could throw another grenade. The SEAL team looked at the angle of the bullets. The shots came from high above, from a tree line none of them could even see clearly. The ghost sniper wasn't just helping them survive. He was controlling the battlefield. The enemy panicked again, shouting and scattering. They couldn't fight what they couldn't see. They couldn't target a ghost. A few tried firing wildly toward the trees, but the sniper's reply was instant. 2 more headshots. Clean. Silent. Final. The jungle once again became quiet. The commander could no longer ignore it. Whoever the sniper was, he wasn't just saving them. He was guiding them, planning for them, fighting like someone who knew every inch of this jungle, every enemy tactic, every weak spot. The injured SEAL groaned in pain. They needed medical attention soon. The commander spoke softly to the air, hoping the sniper could hear. "We need evacuation. We can't make it far carrying the wounded." No reply, no bullet, no signal. For a moment they thought maybe the sniper had left. Then suddenly, they heard a faint sound in the distance. A radio. Not theirs. Someone else's. A transmission. One SEAL froze and whispered, "Is that our frequency?" They followed the sound. Carefully. Slowly. And there, hidden behind thick plants, was a small military radio. Still on, still active. Next to it lay a tiny piece of paper with a single message scratched into it. "Hold position. Extraction coming. Stay low." It wasn't signed. No name. No call sign. Just instructions. The commander stared at it in disbelief. The ghost sniper wasn't just fighting for them. He had called in the rescue himself. That changed everything. This wasn't just luck, or help, or fate. This was a plan. And whoever this ghost was, he wasn't done yet. The night around the SEAL team was growing colder, but the danger around them was getting hotter. They were still trapped in enemy territory, and even though the ghost sniper had saved them from the ambush, the mission was not over. The team knew the enemies wouldn't stop. They were hunting them like shadows. Every step, every breath, every sound mattered now. Captain Reed, the team leader, kept replaying everything in his mind. The sniper shots that came from nowhere. The perfect accuracy. The way every bullet saved a life. It wasn't luck. It was skill. Extreme skill. But who was he? Why did he help them? And where was he hiding? Reed had worked with many snipers in the past, but none like this. It was like the shooter could see the future. The team moved through the jungle, tired but alert. They had lost their radio, their backup plan, and their rescue helicopter was already shot down. No help was coming. They were on their own. The ghost sniper had disappeared again, like he was never there. But the team somehow felt he was still watching, protecting them from a distance. One of the soldiers, Mason, could not stop talking about the sniper. "I swear he's not human," he said softly. "No one shoots like that. No hesitation. No mistake. One bullet, one kill every time." The others didn't speak, but they were thinking the same thing. Was he a legend? A myth? Or someone from their own past? The captain finally broke the silence. "He's not a ghost," Reed said. "He's a man. And if he's still here, then he has a reason." That night, they decided to rest inside an old broken hut deep inside the jungle. The wind outside whistled through the trees. The team sat quietly, trying to stay awake. Everyone was exhausted, but sleep was dangerous. They took turns keeping watch. Soldiers who had seen wars before now felt something different. A strange mix of fear, hope, and curiosity. Suddenly, just before dawn, they heard something. Footsteps. Slow. Careful. Not an animal. A human. The team aimed their weapons toward the sound. Their hearts raced. Then a voice came from the dark. Calm. Deep. Controlled. "Don't shoot. If I wanted you dead, you'd already be gone." The team froze. That voice. Cool, confident. It had to be him. The ghost sniper stepped into the light. He wasn't wearing any military uniform. No badges. No name. Just a rugged face, dirt, scars, and eyes that looked like they had seen 1,000 wars. Reed stared at him. "Who are you?" he asked. The sniper looked at him for a moment before answering. "Someone who knows what it's like to be left behind." Those words hit the team hard. He wasn't there to explain everything. He wasn't there for glory or reward. Something personal had brought him here. something painful. The sniper walked in, checked their wounds, and silently started fixing their gear like he had already planned to help them. He didn't ask for permission. He acted like he had already decided that their survival was his mission now. One of the soldiers whispered, "Why are you helping us?" The sniper didn't look up. "Because once I was in your place, and nobody came." That was all he said. Nothing more. But it was enough to make everyone fall silent. This man had been abandoned once, betrayed, left to die, and now he was doing for them what no one had done for him. Reed watched him work. The sniper moved like a ghost. Silent, fast, smart. He knew enemy routes. He knew where drones would fly. He even knew the next attack before it happened. It was like he had already studied every inch of the battlefield. The team realized something. They weren't guiding him. He was guiding them. The sniper gave them a plan. A way to escape the jungle. A path no soldier had ever survived before. A route filled with traps, cliffs, mines, and enemy patrols. But he said something that made them believe him. "You're not dying here. Not while I'm breathing." Those words felt like a shield. The team looked at each other. Their fear didn't disappear, but now they had something stronger, faith. The sniper's presence didn't just protect them, changed them. They were no longer the team being hunted. They were becoming the team that would fight back. For the first time in hours, they felt hope. But what they didn't know was this: saving them wasn't the sniper's only goal. He had another mission, a mission tied to his past, a mission he had waited years to finish. And the jungle was about to learn the truth. The jungle was waking up, but the danger was already alive. The SEAL team followed the ghost sniper through thick trees, muddy ground, and deadly silence. Every step mattered. One wrong move could expose them. They were deep in enemy land, and the enemy now knew they were still alive. The sniper walked in front, moving like he was part of the jungle itself. He didn't talk much, but when he spoke, every word carried weight. The team slowly started trusting him, not because they fully understood him, but because every moment with him felt like a step away from death. Captain Reed kept watching him carefully. The sniper didn't walk like a normal soldier. He didn't look nervous. He didn't even seem tired. His eyes scanned the jungle like he had lived there all his life. Reed finally asked the question burning inside him. "You were military once, weren't you?" The sniper didn't stop walking. "Once," he replied. Reed waited for more, but nothing came. The sniper didn't like talking about himself. It wasn't just silence, it was pain. A wound buried deep. Soon, they reached a narrow valley where the jungle opened into a dangerous pass. It looked quiet, but the sniper suddenly raised his hand. Everyone froze. He crouched and pointed to a barely visible wire on the ground. A hidden mine. The team realized something. Without him, they would have walked right over it. He disarmed the trap in seconds. No hesitation. No fear. Mason whispered, "How many times has he done this?" Another soldier replied, "Too many times." The sniper kept moving. But then, something unexpected happened. They reached a broken stone wall, old, worn, covered in moss. The sniper stopped. He stared at it for a long time. His breathing changed. His jaw tightened. Reed noticed. "You've been here before," he said quietly. The sniper didn't deny it. "This is where my team died." The words hit the soldiers. They weren't just in a war zone. They were walking through the sniper's past. His battlefield. His nightmare. Years ago, he and his team had been sent on a mission just like this. Secret, silent, no support, no rescue. But someone betrayed them. Their location was leaked. The enemy trapped them. Everyone died, except him. He survived, but not because he was lucky, because he refused to die. He lived, but he carried every death with him. Reed finally understood something. The sniper wasn't just helping them. He was finishing something he started long ago. He was fighting the same enemy, the same men who had destroyed his team. And now he wasn't just saving the SEAL team. He was hunting the people responsible. They kept walking until they reached a hidden enemy camp. The team watched from the trees. Dozens of armed fighters. Trucks, radios, weapons, supplies. The sniper looked at all of it like he had seen it before. He even pointed out weaknesses, blind spots, sniper's nests, security gaps. "How do you know this much?" a soldier asked. The sniper finally answered with something more personal. "Because the man who ordered my team to die is in that camp." Everything became clear. This wasn't just their mission anymore. It was his revenge. Reed looked at him, trying to balance logic and emotion. "You're not here for us. You're here for him." The sniper didn't deny it. "I'm here for both." The team fell silent. They knew what revenge looked like. They had seen men lose themselves to it. But the sniper was different. His revenge wasn't blind rage. It was sharp, calculated, controlled. He turned to Reed. "You want to live? This is how we do it. We take out the command, destroy their comms, and cut their backup routes. After that, you get extraction." Reed realized something shocking. The sniper had already planned a way out for them. A way he never had for himself. "You're not leaving with us, are you?" Reed said. The sniper looked at him with eyes that already knew the answer. "No. My war ends here." The SEAL team was torn. They wanted to leave. They wanted to survive. But now they also wanted justice, for him, for his dead team, and for themselves. They were not just soldiers anymore. They were brothers in the same fight. Reed made a decision. "Then we finish this together." The sniper looked at him. For the first time, a small sign of respect appeared in his eyes. Not a smile, not a nod, just a silent acceptance. The plan was set. Night was coming. The final fight would begin soon. The jungle was no longer silent. It was waiting. Waiting for war. Waiting for the ghost sniper's last battle. The night settled over the jungle like a dark blanket, but the quiet did not bring peace. It was the silence before a storm. The SEAL team took their positions around the enemy camp. The ghost sniper climbed to a high ridge, where he could see everything. He moved like a shadow, unseen and unheard. The plan was clear. The sniper would take out the leaders. The SEAL team would hit the communication room, destroy the radios, and block the backup routes. Once the enemy was confused and cut off, the team would escape to the extraction point. But for the sniper, there was no extraction point. His mission did not end with escape. It ended with the man who betrayed his team dead. The signal was one shot, a single bullet. It came at exactly 2:13 a.m. One shot. One body collapsed. The camp froze. Before anyone could react, the second shot came. Then the third. The sniper's rifle echoed through the jungle like death calling names. The SEAL team rushed in, fast and silent. They moved like a ghost army. Knives, suppressed guns, no wasted movement. The enemy panicked, shooting in random directions, not knowing where the danger came from. They had fought many battles before, but never against someone like this. They could not see the sniper. They could not stop the SEALs. Chaos spread. Inside the camp, Captain Reed and Mason broke into the command tent. They destroyed maps, computers, radios, everything that kept the enemy connected. They were no longer fighting to survive. They were destroying the enemy's power. Far away on his ridge, the sniper finally saw the one man he had been waiting for, the commander who ordered his old team to be abandoned and killed. The same man who left him buried under bodies, believing he would die too. But he didn't. Tonight, that man saw something in the darkness, a reflection of death, staring back through a rifle scope. The ghost sniper took a slow breath. He didn't feel anger. He didn't feel rage. He just felt peace. The trigger was pulled. The final shot was fired. And the past was finally buried. But the battle wasn't over. The enemy regrouped, and more soldiers began flooding into the camp. The SEAL team was running out of time. They signaled the extraction helicopter, but the enemy was getting closer fast. Reed called the sniper on radio. "We're leaving. Move to the landing zone." There was silence. Then the sniper replied, calm and steady. "No. I stay." Reed's voice shook. "You saved us. Don't throw your life away now." But the sniper wasn't throwing anything away. He was finishing what was left of his life with purpose. "I was supposed to die here years ago," he said. "Tonight, I just corrected the delay." The SEAL team wanted to argue, but they knew deep inside, This was his ending. Not sad, not tragic, just right. He had lived as a shadow. He would disappear as one. The helicopter came in. The SEALs fought through the last wave and jumped aboard. But Captain Reed refused to leave without saying something. He grabbed the radio one last time. "You are not a ghost. You're one of us. If you ever want to come home, you have a family waiting." There was a long pause. Then the sniper finally said the only goodbye he knew how to give. "Take care of your men, Captain. That's all that matters." The radio went silent. The helicopter lifted off. The jungle below glowed with smoke and fire. But on the ridge, the sniper still stood, rifle ready, guarding them until the very last second. Even when the chopper was far away and the SEAL team could no longer see him, they knew he was watching, protecting, finishing. He didn't walk toward them. He disappeared back into the trees, swallowed by the jungle, like he had never existed. Days later, when the SEAL team returned to base, they placed something on their unit's wall of honor. Not a photo, not a medal, just a torn, old SEAL patch, found in the jungle years ago, belonging to a soldier who never returned. Under it, they wrote one word: Ghost. No rank, no dates, no explanation. But every man who looked at it knew exactly who he was, the sniper who saved them when the world left them to die. Some legends are written in books. Others are written in blood, silence, and sacrifice. And some live only in the jungle.